Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you joining us today. We're very excited to show you one of Champion's latest cloud offerings, Command Archive. Command Archive is a phenomenal journaling and archiving solution for any email platform that you might be on. My name is Todd Rosales. I'm an online services specialist here at Champion Solutions Group. I also have my colleague Steve Martin with me, who's going to be walking you through the product and showing you a nice demo of the product so you can see it firsthand for yourself. Let's go over today's agenda. Obviously, we're going to go over greetings and introductions. Check that. We covered it already. We're going to do a nice overview of the Command Archive solution itself. We'll go into the business benefits of email archive, not just for compliance reasons, but outside of compliance, what else you can utilize an archiving solution for. And finally, we'll dig down further into that and show you different use cases for each of those benefits for an archiving solution. Lastly, we will have time for questions and answers. So if you have any questions, please feel free to type them into the chat on the side, or you can hold them to the end and you'll be able to ask us your questions directly. With that being said, let me introduce my counterpart, Steve Martin, who will be handling the rest of the presentation from here.
Well, thank you, Todd, and hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today to talk about Command Archive. And I'll start just by drawing a differentiation, if you will, between backup and email archiving. And we like to say that backup is for recovery and archive is about discovery. And really that's a cute way of saying that the difference between these two very important business functions is fast and accurate search. What makes archive so useful is being able to search, and we'll see some of this later in the demo, very easily and powerfully across the entire data set. With backups, if you've ever had to do this, you understand that searching for any particular file can be a time-consuming process. Command Archive also extends to you the benefits of cloud economics. So this is unlimited storage, right? As much data as you can stuff up there. Unlimited retention. If you want to keep it forever, that's no problem. It's not going to cost you anymore. And of course, with the cloud, you're getting highest availability, reliability, data durability. And all at a predictable fixed monthly cost, right? There's no hardware to buy, there's no software to maintain, there are no upfront costs. So it's easy setup, simple to get started, and you know from a budgeting standpoint exactly what you're in for. And this application really applies to companies of every size. We've got some 1 or 2 mailboxes, some with tens of thousands of mailboxes, all archiving email in order to preserve their intellectual property and make that data searchable and therefore actionable. So just to get started, briefly, what is email archiving? How does it work? It's really about replicating and then securely storing every outbound and inbound email into a mailbox. And this includes attachments, more than 500 different attachment types, as well as all the metadata around that email message. So sender, to, from, date, date of mailing, all that kind of stuff is stored and searchable within the index. So this is fully integrated, obviously, within MessageOps, which means every message, inbound and outbound, is getting collected and then securely stored in the cloud. And that data is protected both in transit and at rest with some of the high security standards available. And an important takeaway here is that this is a native messaging server function. This doesn't require software to be installed on the server. There's no collectors. There's no agents that sit on top of the messaging server. This is functionality that's baked into all your major messaging servers. So it's not only quick setup, but there's no, you're not adding processing lag to the server. Once a message is captured, it's going to get moved to the cloud. Command Archive then indexes it so that you can conduct your searches quickly and easily against a very large data set in very fast response times. This data, in addition to being moved to the cloud, is being replicated 8 different ways in multiple data center clusters, which are made up of actually physically different data centers, which is a long way of saying that this data is about as protected as you can get. We're copying it to geo-dispersed locations in multiple data sets on worm-compliant drives. So this is a secure storage, very high durability, and of course availability. So you'll be able to hit this from a secure web browser anywhere in the world, 24/7, 365. Last thing I want to touch on is the account administrator. So when this archive gets set up, there's a default user that's kind of the kingpin of the user community on this archive, who then can set up subsequent user roles, and they'll have different permissions. So the archive administrator can set up search users and search admins, and we'll take a look at that now in the demo, which I'll swing over to you.
Provision. The first step is to set up the mail collectors in order to process messages into your mail archive. Click on the Collectors button to take you to the configuration screen. The archive service has support for a wide range of email systems. If you're using the Exchange system or many of the other types of email systems on the market, you can configure a secure IMAP connector to the journal mailbox to collect mail into the archive. First, select the type of collection you're going to make, whether it's Exchange or standard IMAP journal. Enter some details around the server name, mailbox, IP address, port number, as well as the username and password. You can then test your configuration at the bottom to ensure all settings are correct. The next option is the SMTP collector. This is where you can configure your mail system to push messages to a unique SMTP address. This email address will be used to receive email messages from your journal system. We will then process these messages within the archive and make them available for searching. The next step will be to assign roles to users within your organization. The account administrator is generally a system administrator for your organization. This role has the ability to manage system settings such as configuring LDAP integration or user provisioning, as well as configuring the data collectors. The search administrator is generally someone in HR or an attorney for your company. This role has the ability to view all the messages within the archive. They can create new searches, and then they can assign those search results to lower-level users called search user. The search user will have the same exact interface as the search administrator, but they'll only have access to the searches that have been assigned to them by the search administrator. The Search Admin Plus is a slightly enhanced search admin role that is allowed to run audit reports and set the system-wide retention policy. The end user role provides end users with a self-service function to review and download emails and attachments they have sent and received in the past. Now I'm going to demonstrate the search administrator access. Once again, the search administrator has the ability to view all the messages and all the searches within the archive service. The archive service considers each of the searches to be an individual investigation, and because of that, there is a reportable audit trail for all of the activity. For example, I can see that this user logged in at this date and time from this IP address, and we can see the actions that occurred. To start a new search, I'll click the Start New Search button. I'll be provided with 4 different options to be able to locate information in my archive. First, the Simple Search. The Simple Search will allow you to search for a few static search terms or email addresses. To do that, enter a name for your search, enter your search terms, then specify a date range. The tags will allow you to add an optional tag word to the search to allow for further categorization. The permissions area will allow you to assign the search user role to provide an individual access to the search. The wizard-based search provides the search administrator with the ability to create very granular search conditions. We can choose to look for a specific sender and a recipient, we can look within the body of the text, and we can look within the attachment sets. I can choose to include or exclude specific information by using these operators. Then I have the ability to specify what information I like to search on, such as a static word, a list of words, or specify a phrase. The advanced search is an entirely free-form search page and allows me to specify multiple senders and recipients. I can then include or exclude multiple different words using wildcards. The custom search provides advanced users with the flexibility to create searches that are more complex using advanced Boolean logic, fuzzy logic, and proximity logic operators. I'm now going to run a simple search on the term broker. The results view will highlight every instance of a word broker found within the results. In this view, I have the ability to review the message in a text view or the original view, which will contain any HTML or rich text formatting. If I choose to, I can download the message to a PDF or an email file, or I can send the message out of the archive to someone inside or outside of my organization. Also, I have the ability to recover the message back to my search administrator mailbox. I can further categorize these individual messages using the static buttons here. This is useful when I only want to export specific messages, or if I want other users logging into the archive service to only review the messages I have tagged with a specific word. I can also add an optional system-level tag to associate this email with an ongoing investigation and add a comment as to why I've tagged the message or how the message is relevant to a particular investigation. I can drill down into these search results by clicking Filter My Results. From here, I can essentially perform a search within a search by utilizing these different fields to help me reduce the search results. After categorizing and filtering the search results, I can now export my results out of the archive service by clicking Export My Results. In this view, I have the ability to export the messages to PST, EML, text, PDF, HTML, as well as to NSF. From here, I can also implement a legal hold. The legal hold feature allows me to ensure that these messages will remain in the archive service and will not be purged based on the retention policy I've set. The archive service also provides personal archive access. This feature provides end users with the ability to quickly find a message and or attachment they have sent and received in the past. End users have the ability to execute a quick search for a message, or they can use more advanced features by clicking Advanced Search. After the end user has found the message he's looking for, you can then click on it and view the original view of the message right within the web browser. From here, I can forward the message out of the archive service to someone inside or outside of my organization. I can download the message to an EML or PDF file, or I can recover the message right back to my inbox. Additionally, I can search for a specific attachment that I've sent and received by clicking the Attachments tab. I can then click on that specific attachment, and this will prompt me to save this attachment to my desktop. The personal archive access is extremely helpful if an end user has sent an email they have deleted or an attachment that has been changed. They can go back to their personal archive and download the attachment and or email individually without any administrative interaction. There's no need to restore the mailbox, no need to recover from backup. The end user has the full ability to perform these actions on their own from their own personal archive.
So there we see some of the ease of use for search construction, the drop-down query boxes, end user access where they can recover their own accidentally deleted or lost emails. So this doesn't mean creating IT support tickets. Some other use cases we're going to get into in a moment, but maybe just to take a quick summary here. Email is in fact business communication. In fact, according to Gartner, maybe as much as 90% of an organization's intellectual property at one time or another passes through email or attachments. Right, this is communication that's worth preserving and protecting. It is prevalent in almost every department and every business. And these data stores really contain a wealth of business intelligence that, if you could get search into and across, would provide you with a lot of business insight. So this has a couple of high-level business values. Obviously, data preservation. You want to keep everything for as long as you need to. Different regulations and different verticals are going to require different retention periods. But compliance, and this can be a real alphabet soup of regulations here, but different businesses are obviously subject to different regulations, some of which are rather stringent around data retention, around legal hold, and around secure access. But to every business, I think there's an argument to be made that intellectual property is worth protecting, that these documents, discussions, and data, this represents real business value and ultimately needs to be protected for a number of reasons. So employee transition is kind of an obvious example that a lot of people downplay, but if an employee leaves an organization and they have either accidentally or deliberately kind of taken their data, that can be a difficult transition for the new employee. So if someone steps into a role and doesn't have the benefit of kind of sitting next to their predecessor to get the update on where we are with all of these accounts, email archiving provides them with a simple way to scan across every conversation that's ever been had on a certain subject and quickly come up to speed. And of course, discovery is another burgeoning area that's driving the need for email archiving. Sadly, litigation is a common happenstance, and the first part of litigation, if you're involved in it, is something called discovery, where the opposing party can present interrogatories, and they may demand documents, hundreds or thousands of documents, going back months or years. They may request conversations between employees who no longer work there, and all of this can create a huge burden for organizations because there's a time limit in which you must respond, and it must be complete and correct, or you're subject to fairly serious court sanctions. So at a high level, this is about increased productivity, getting new employees on quickly, not losing those conversations. Yes, there's a backup and recovery story here. Employees who accidentally delete files can kind of self-service help desk and go into their personal archive and just recover what they need to recover. And then again, the intellectual property story. This is about an organization taking possession of the email and recognizing it for what it is, containing email sprawl, identifying rogue users who might be sharing intellectual property outside the organization. A lot of our customers are HR and compliance officers who see the real value in being able to monitor, if you will, the conversations that are going on within the organization. And this is just really about reducing your organizational risk and the cost, being able to respond to audits quickly and completely. Discovery, as I mentioned, the fastest growing component of litigation costs. So let's take a look at a couple of business scenarios. This data preservation scenario we've touched on. The benefit here is that you're not losing any of the kind of transaction detail. It's the ability to go back and look at what was said, when, by whom, what promises were made. And this can help in quickly determining whether there's potential litigation, whether there's a liability that needs to be addressed, or whether you could avoid getting involved in legal matters. And the employee continuity scenario I touched on, where someone who has left the company, the new person can come in and quickly get up to speed without having to sit for weeks and get that kind of knowledge transfer from the subject matter expert, but to quickly kind of scan every conversation that's happened and become the subject matter expert in a short order. Again, the self-service recovery, email prevent, this is a big burden for some IT organizations. Tickets get filled out. Now IT professionals need to go back and find backup tapes or search the drive in order to recover the email. The user may not have specified the email correctly, and now you've got multiple attempts at recovery. This is an easy way, the end-user archive rather, is an easy way to alleviate a lot of that IT burden and frankly to speed the time to recovery for end users. So I guess if I can leave you with anything, it's that email and all those attachments, these are mission-critical data. This is the intellectual property of the organization, and Command Archive is a simple way to affordably, securely store that information for as long as you need to. It's got real business benefits regardless of the business that you're in. This is about increasing the productivity and reducing the risk, maintaining control of that intellectual property, and just increasing overall operational efficiency. At this point, I'd like to open up to any questions that may have appeared in that chat window. We can address those. If we don't have any questions, then I can turn it back over to Todd.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. Well, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, we really do appreciate your time today, spending your 30-minute Tuesday with us. If you're interested in learning more about Command Archive or seeing a live demo on anything specifically that you saw here today, please do reach out to us at 877-788-1617, and you can reach me directly at extension 343, or if you're just looking for some general information, please head to www.commandarchive.com. With that, I can let everybody back to their day. We appreciate your time.